liked working me because I'd fly around for him. You know, I knew what my job was, and I did my job well. The second night, after I worked the 1, 2, 3 kid, we get there the third night, and they didn't have anything up on the board yet. And Stallion comes up and he goes, "Hey, do you know who you're working tonight?" And I went, "No, there's nothing up." I said, "Maybe I won't have to work tonight. I'm tired anyway." Because back then, that ring was hard. And Stallion said, "Well, hang on, I'll go find out." So he comes back and he goes, "Brother, you can give that up." He goes, "Everybody in this building is wanting to work you." So I got to work Sparky Plug, Bob Holly, which was the...
What made it so bad?
Bob Holly. It was great until Bob Holly got in the ring. Just, you know, it was funny because we're sitting there at the curtain waiting to go out, and the referee comes up and he asks Bob, he goes, "Hey, you know, who you working at?" And Bob points towards me. He goes, "Man, you're going to love working this little you know." And Bob just, like, shrugged it off. But even back when I worked Scott Hall, he requested me to, actually. So we're going over the match. I want to say Jerry Briscoe was the agent, and he comes up and he goes, "Hey, this is Scott Hall, you know, you'll be working him." And Scott's like, "Hey, you ain't got to tell me nothing about this kid. I've been dying to work him." So he goes, "I really want to give him some spots, but the way I look at it, it's my turn, not his." And I went, "Well, you very much, Scott Hall." and this is no lie. I you not. When he had me up in the Razor's Edge, I'd done been paid. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I could just slide my arms together, slide down his back, and be out the door by the time he got back to the dressing room. But I decided to take the bump.
So what was it like taking that bump?
I didn't feel comfortable taking a bump to where I can't see when I'm going to hit the mat. But here's what was cool about WWF at the time. Oh, I'm sorry, I was enhancement talent at one time for WCW. And up there, they had the attitude of, "You're a jobber. If you get hurt, screw you. We'll find another jobber." When I went to WWE, every match that I had, the guys would tell me, "Hey, you know, if I call something that you're not comfortable with, let me know. We'll change it. We're not here to hurt anybody." And I went, "Wow, awesome."
Looking at the WWE and WCW, what is the difference between those two locker rooms at the time?
At the time, it's changed now. At the time, when you were enhancement talent or whatever, you dressed with the boys. Now they got you dressing in closets or bathrooms or somewhere other than the main locker room, you know, and I'm like, how stupid is this? Because, like, I'll tell you a story. I was there to do something, I forget, and they had paid me. Because my gimmick was, as soon as I walk in, I walk straight to the gimmick table, get my money. Somebody came in the locker room and stole my money. And I went bitching to, God, I can't remember who it was. Laurinaitis come up, and he's like, "What's up?" I went, "Somebody stole my money out of my locker room." He's like, "Well, I don't know who's been there." I went, "Well, it's a f***ing closet. You know, it ain't like you got to break a damn code to get in. You just walk in and take what you want and walk out. Nobody knows the difference." So they paid me again, but still, I'm like, you know, are we really that much of a hindrance to be dressing with the boys? You know, what are we going to do? Ask them for f***ing autographs while we're getting dressed, talking our matches over? I think that's very, very disrespectful. You know, if you're good enough to be in the ring, the boys, why ain't you good enough to be in the locker room, the boys? What's the difference? The difference is, in the ring, you're in front of a crowd, and they already see you in front with the boys, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was bullshit. You know, the last 4 or 5 times that I went, we're in a closet or a bathroom or something, and I'm like, oh, this is so stupid, you know. I want you to come in, and I want you to f***ing make my guy look like $1 million, but you can't dress in the same locker room with him. You know, but Vince is a billionaire, and I'm a f***ing indie worker, so what do I know?
The one thing that is synonymous with independent wrestler are those damned old promoters who don't pay. They want you to come to a show, but when you get there, they don't have the money that they promised you. How do you deal with that?
Actually, I've only had that done with one promoter. What can you do? If you beat his ass, you go to jail. You still don't get no money, and it ends up costing you bail. You know, what are you going to do? Take his ring ropes with you for collateral? There's nothing you can do. You know, that's why, luckily, that, you know, if I demand a deposit or whatever, I can get one to where, you know, even if the show gets canceled or don't draw or whatever, at least you still got half your money. But I think it's bullshit because, a promoter should have everybody's pay in their pocket before the door opens, or don't run a show. It's that simple.
We'll be right back with our featured interview on this week's Carolina Independent Wrestling Report right after this. Hi, everyone. This is Chuck Charles, host of a new podcast coming your way. It's called Inside the Indies. It's 60 minutes of entertainment and information on some of your favorites on the independent scene today. Carolina Independent Wrestling taught me to respect the business, and now it is time for me to seek out great stories from across the U.S. and throughout the world. Join me Monday, March 7th at 7 p.m. to get the podcast you are wanting to hear. Giving you a better interview with crystal clear sound. We are Inside the Indies. March 2nd, 7 p.m. on Spreaker.com. Be there.
This is the Overlord of the Wasteland, the Engineer of Combat, the Big Boss with the hot sauce, Ricky Regal.
This is Samantha Starr, the perfect knockout.
What's up, everyone? It's the meatball himself, Tommy Capone. You're listening to the CIW Report right here on Spreaker.com.
When you were a little kid and you thought about what you wanted to be, teaching was at the top of your list. But things changed. And as you got older, teaching didn't seem like the best option anymore. So you're thinking you'll be something else. But what would your 12-year-old self say? Now you want to be a doctor. You don't think teachers save lives? 25 at a time. An actress? Try playing a different role every time the bell rings. How about a scientist? Ever heard of physics? Chemistry? Who do you think teaches that? Teachers today are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, and taking learning far beyond the four walls of the classroom. It's time to recognize that great things are happening in teaching and put it back on your list. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. You had it right the first time.
Find out how you can make more at teach.org. Make more. Teach. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the CIW Report. Now, is there a country that you like working in outside of the United States more than any other?
I loved England. I would have moved to England. Me and Alex Shane actually talked about him opening a school and me moving there and running it, but it never happened. But I love England.
What is it about the country that you like?
I love the accent. I would go down the street and just ask some chick directions to somewhere just to hear her talk. And the crowds over there are respectful too. You know what I'm saying? They're not spoiled like what Americans are. It kills me because like anytime WWE has a pay-per-view, you got a bunch of indie guys on the internet talking about, well, that didn't make sense. This didn't do that. I didn't get this. You're a indie worker. Vince McMahon's a multi-billionaire. Do you think he really cares what you think was right or was wrong?
So with that being said, I'm seeing a lot of people who are not satisfied with what's going on in the WWE right now. Do you feel that there's anything that is missing in that show?
Yeah, Chris Hamrick. No. I don't watch it. I don't watch WWE. I watch the pay-per-views because I'm on the network. The network is awesome. $9.99 a month, and you get every pay-per-view and every, old pay-per-view and all that. There for a month straight, I watched Clash of the Champions. You can't find like that, especially for $10 a month, But I watch the pay-per-views. Other than that, I don't watch Monday Night Raw. I don't watch SmackDown. I'll watch Next. If they have like one of the big shows or whatever, which they're awesome too. I mean, Next blows Raw away, in my opinion.
As before, in the other interview that we did,
the one that you lost?
Yeah, the one that I lost, the one that is totally on me. Yeah, I know. It's time for the fanny pack philosophy, man. What have you got for some of these guys that are up and coming?
Are they trained?
Yes.
Okay, for the ones that are trained, you have to get out of your hometown. You have to get out of your regular promotion. You have to travel. You have to pay your dues. And it's so much easier. Let me explain the difference between paying dues now and paying dues when I was coming up. When I was coming up, every wrestler you got in the ring with, knew what they were doing, or they wasn't in the ring. There was none of this, well, I was trained by so-and-so, and I'll buy some boots, and I'm on a show. No. Every wrestler that you could ring with back then knew what they were doing because they had been trained. So it was actually harder to go to a show and be a standout because everybody knew what they were doing. Nowadays, say you take somebody like Ethan Case or John Schuyler, who is traveling and doing the right thing, if they go to a show where there's a bunch of untrained in the ring, then how easy is it for them to be the standout of the show? You know, because, I mean, they know what they're doing. They've been trained, you know, and they're good at what they do. So, you know, naturally they're going to go and they're going to stand out. And it's easy, but that's the way you make a name for yourself. You know, you got guys talking like, oh, man, there's a guy named Ethan Case on the show last Saturday that was incredible. And he may not be doing but 50% of the shit, you know, because you've got a bunch of untrained that don't know what they're doing, so it's not hard to go out there and steal the show.
Okay, and what about for the guys that can't work?
Get the out of our business. And you know what? They won't. You know what they'll do? They'll buy a ring and start running shows and be in the main event.
If you could go back in time or bring it to the present, what is the one rematch that you would like to have?
I'd like another shot at Christy Miss myself, but
talking about in the ring, Hamrick. I'm talking about in the ring.
I really can't think of anybody that I'd like. I'd sure like to work them again. I wouldn't hard if it'd bring him back to life.
Okay, and what do you feel is the biggest achievement to date in your career?
Christy Miss.
Oh, my God.
Just having a good reputation. I mean, I know I have a reputation being an asshole, but it's like I told a woman one time. She was talking to me about bringing me in, and she goes, but I don't know. I heard that, you know, you're an ass in the locker room. I went, well, let me tell you something. First of all, you're not paying me to be in your locker room. You're paying me for when I go to the ring to do what the I do and to show people I know what I'm doing. That's what you're paying me for. So if I want to be the biggest in the locker room that I want to be, that's my prerogative. You're not paying me to be in the locker room. That's my time. And if your guys have a problem with that, then them. I don't care. If I go to a show, I'm entertaining myself. If you get offended by it, I don't care. That's just the way it is. I am who the I am, and I'm not changing for an indie worker that might get offended at something I say or the way I act. I don't give a You know, Ricky Morton told, he either told David Reimer or Josh Steinborn, he's like, you know, if Chris would kiss ass, he could make $1 million. No, Chris ain't going to kiss ass. You know, I never have in my career, and I never will. I am who the I am, and, you know, what you see is what you get. I'm not putting on an act for anybody. You know, this is me. If you have a problem with it, stay away from me, because I promise you, if I don't like you, I won't say 2 words to you. How people know that I like them is the more I with them, the more I like them.
We are talking to ECW original and high-flying Chris Hamrick on this week's CIW Report. Say again.
We're talking to both of them?
Yes, absolutely. Same time.
Nice.
It's in stereo, brother.
2 holes.
Well, they say 2 are better than 1.
Especially if it's Christy Miss.
So now let's talk a little bit about your personal life. Recently, I saw your daughter at a Josh Steinborn show. I met her for the first time. Very, very nice girl. The balance between being a wrestler and dad, how do you do it?
Let me tell you what, the only reason that I'm doing shows around here is because Isabella loves to watch me wrestle. And I'm not going to take her on, you know, a 3-hour trip or anything past an hour. I won't take her. But, well, I won't say that's the only. I love working for SWA. I like working for Steinborn. But it gives me a chance to get out. But Isabella loves to watch her dad wrestle. And that's the only places that she can go to watch me. So I don't mind doing that at all.
Well, with you saying that, at times you have to set the stage